Hey guys, my name is Becca Stahl. I'm a student at Oklahoma State University, and recently my classmates and I decided to conduct a taste test survey to compare and contrast the differences between Sprite, which is a name brand lemon lime soda, and Shasta Twist, which is the generic version of a lemon lime soda. So today I'm just going to run you through some of the methods that we use to collect this data and create this experiment, and also some of the results that we found. So you might be wondering, what is a taste test and what is it used for exactly? And it's a tool that's used to gather information about the flavor of a food or a product, and this is important because producers really want to ensure consistency within their products, and also they're looking to point out the similarities and the differences between the products. And that's what we were looking to do with the Sprite and Shasta Twist taste tests, is we wanted to see if consumers actually could detect a difference between the two sodas. How are taste tests relevant to consumption? Obviously, taste tests determine consumer sensitivity regarding taste, and they help consumers to make buying decisions. As consumers, everyone wants to know if a generic product has the same benefit or the same value as the name brand product. And we also were looking to attempt to allow producers to understand consumer preference and a bias associated with a product. Producers pay a lot of money for these taste tests to be conducted, and just so they can figure out what consumers are looking for and what consumers prefer. From the beginning of our taste test experiment, we sought to answer these questions. We wanted to know, do consumers prefer the taste of name brand soda over generic options? Which soda can is more visually appealing to consumers? And how does price affect consumption of soda, and also the brands of soda that people choose to consume? And to do this, you need to measure consumer preference, which is sometimes tricky to measure, but consumers are continually changing their preferences and tastes, and this is because as consumers, we're influenced by outside sources. We're really heavily influenced by other consumers, as well as brand marketing and price, but I think two of the most potentially influential factors are media and food trends, and I think that's just because they've really increased over the past few years. We have more media outlets now in terms of social media, and also food trends. People are starting to restrict their diets, things like gluten-free, low-fat, low-carb, sugar-free. All of those are definitely influential to markets. First, to conduct a survey, you need to collect a sample, and we collected our sample for the taste test survey at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Primarily agricultural students took place in the survey. Most of our survey participants were made up of the Ag Economics 3993 class, which is a price analysis course here at Oklahoma State. Okay, and an ideal sample is impossible to achieve, but you can create a round sample, and a well-rounded sample will give an accurate representation of the population, and also include an appropriate amount of people. You don't want a sample size that's too big, nor do you want a sample size that's too small, because that can be really inconclusive. And you should have a reasonably unbiased sample selection. The blind taste test. So participants in the survey were given two different types of tests to complete the paper survey. We asked some questions to start out the survey that weren't really related to taste. We said, if price was the same, which soda would you purchase, Sprite or Shasta Twist? How certain are you of your preferences surrounding these two sodas? How often do you drink soda? And also, what is your gender? Alright, and this is a clip from the blind taste test that we presented with people. It says, in the tray in front of you, do you see a circle or a square? Select one. So there's two boxes marking circle and square, and the consumer or the participant would mark whatever shape they saw in front of them, and this let us as researchers know what soda we were actually presenting them with. And then below we have cup 1 and cup 2, and there are 8 different categories for the participant to rank the taste of the soda, ranging from like extremely to dislike extremely. Likewise, participants recorded their result after each taste, so between cup 1 and cup 2 they would record their results. Next, we presented them with a labeling or a visual test, and this measured the consumer appeal regarding several different factors. First, the soda labeling, the soda can design, and the overall visual appeal that it had. This is a little bit more about the labeling test. Survey participants were presented with trays labeled A, B, C, and D, and each letter had a corresponding soda combination that once again only the researchers knew. Alright, and this is just a clip of the tray that we presented people with, and as you'll notice it's labeled C, and there's a can of Shasta Twist and a can of Sprite with 2 cups. Alright, and as for our results, this is the single product comparison test, and as you can see we have the 8 different categories running along the horizontal axis here, ranging from like extremely to dislike extremely, and the legend on the far right illustrating Shasta as the blue bar and Sprite as the orange. So you just take a minute to look at this and notice that some people actually did like the Shasta very much. So there were times that people did choose the generic over the Sprite, but then like moderately more people chose the Sprite that time rather than the Shasta. Alright, and here are our results for the blind taste test. And it's the same thing we had on the other chart. We measure the consumer enjoyment on the horizontal axis, while the Sprite is the blue column, or Shasta is the blue column, excuse me, and Sprite is the orange. And once again, we use those same 8 subcategories to determine the likeness or dislikeness of the product. Alright, and this is sort of our general conclusion that we found, is that 89% of the participants in the study actually did like Sprite over the Shasta Twist, which was a 11% total. So it looks like more consumers actually did prefer the Sprite compared to Shasta Twist, and taste tests like this are really important not only in consumption for consumers but also for producers to see that consumers do detect a difference, and that there's more than one faucet that could potentially influence consumers to choose Sprite over Shasta or Shasta over Sprite. Thank you for your time. I hope you learned something. I really enjoyed doing this project. Have a good day.